should. Between my brethren, kind and good. So I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on to reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. So whatever my mind can see, that I will achieve. Because I do the things I should. Between my brethren, kind and good. So I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow.
Okay, my Stray Dog family, it is time for me to say a very pleasant night to you in St. Kitts and Nevis, and to you wherever you are in the entire Caribbean region. And to my Stray Dog family in the Kittitian and Nevisian diaspora, I say greetings to all who are logged on to zizonline.com. I know that some of you are all over the world. Yes, it's the World Wide Web. Some of you may be in Asia. Some of you may be in Africa. There's some of you in Europe. And there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I am at liberty to say good night. I can't say good morning, and in some cases I can say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Most of you have already made that region your place of abode. Straight Up is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's just, in the process, continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we tried to raise the level of national consciousness. We tried to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And if you're a first timer, we normally have first timers I'm pleased to inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we entertain your calls, we entertain your emails, and if you're so minded to use one of such means, you can access the program by calling 869-465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. Email platform is zizstraightalk. That's zizstraightalk at gmail.com. So all you have to do is to be respectful and be careful. And tonight I want to extend condolences to Zach, or we know him as Zach. John, I've lost his surname. Very good goalkeeper, played for Stars. And I know he was a good goalkeeper, national keeper, because I scored on national keepers. I always remember John saying, "Mark number 9, Mark number 9." And Pappy ignored me, called me a soul man. And as he turned his back, I had the ball in the back of the net, thanks to Kimmer Boot. I always like to refer to Alfonso Archibald of Chapel. Just kept the ball low, keep it flat, can't go down. Put it in the air, flies like a bird. Goal, Boldface was another good goalkeeper, national goalkeeper, who I scored upon. Never scored on Gunji, never played against Gunji, never can recall. But we extend condolences to Zach, and we trust himself and others who have gone to the great beyond to may their soul rest in eternal peace. There's a centenarian, or past centenarian, I should say, who passed away right here in New York. Mrs. Gums, I think that's the name. Let me get that name correct. She passed away as well. She will be interred. That's what's her Gums? Mrs. Glassford, Elizabeth Glassford, passed away at the age of 104 years. Originally from the Deep Bay area, Solomon Glassford, I think it's your mum. If you hear me, we extend condolences as well to you and the entire family of Miss Elizabeth Glassford, also known as the Mama, here from Deep Bay, 104 years old. I also heard that the sister of Capsec, Josephine Huggins, Mrs. Josephine Huggins, she too has passed away, and I want to extend condolences on my own behalf, on behalf of the entire Straight Talk family. And on Friday, I think the 16th, that's Saturday, is World Food Day, and we understand there will be a week of activities. From Friday, starting with the address to the Honorable Minister, and on Saturday, which is World Food Day, there will be an island-wide agri-cane, and it starts at the World Food Agri-Market at 5 p.m. or it should be, what I'm saying here, the agri-market, I believe it would be from 7 a.m. But until 5 p.m. at the Bastille Public Market. There's a worship service on Sunday. Then the Schools Garden Enhancement Initiative deadline for submission of National Poster Contest. There's also the relaunching of the Foy's Extension Center. And there's a workshop of financial literacy and agriculture. And also on leadership matters, hosted by the Honorable Prime Minister on Tuesday, They will outline a new strategy plan for agriculture in St. Kitts and Nevis. Wednesday, livestock demonstration seminar, and at 6 p.m. the global positioning system training and distribution for fishers. Very important for the safety of lives at sea. And on Thursday, the planting and distribution of fruit trees and Food Heroes Awards ceremony. And Friday, from 9 a.m., the National Agri-Fest at the Newtown Playing Field. And there's a St. Christopher Outreach Center walk and luncheon on Friday at 10 a.m. That's some tidbits for World Food Day and the week of activities hosted by the Ministry of Agriculture. And just to keep you updated as well in terms of the COVID-19 situation report, that's as of the 14th October, that's today, so this is updated. And we had the last 24 hours, 14 confirmed cases. Active cases now 847. Wow. And recovered cases 1,657. Some 2,126 or 2,126 cases identified in St. Kitts thus far, and 399 in Nevis. The negative results, 46,224. So lots of testing going on in St. Kitts and Nevis. And sadly, though, had some 21 deaths. And in terms of vaccination, that is going well. That is going well to date. And to date, some 77.1% of persons have, that's the targeted population, I should say, had their first dose, and 69.8% have been administered their 2 doses, or have been administered dose 1 and dose 2. So that's some very good news. And as well, the government, irrespective of what you're hearing, are really ensuring that all the tools to fight this COVID-19 pandemic, this COVID-19 war, or war against the COVID-19 pandemic, all the tools have been applied. And today, just today, on the historic day, as it was called, Field Hospital was handed over today.
Today, in my view, is an historic day for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Happened today,
as we emerge further from the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we continue our diligent work to put our federation back on track to economic growth, to job creation, and higher incomes for our people.
Vaccine
today, of course, shows that we are applying lessons that we have learned from the pandemic so far. We put in place even more measures to keep our people safe and secure from future threats and a wide range of hazards. We now live in a multiple hazard environment. And given this backdrop, I am delighted to participate in the historic handing over of this field hospital, an important first in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, equally delighted that another hospital will soon be commissioned on the sister island of Nevis.
So on St. Kitts and on Nevis, there will be field hospital each. And just in case you missed that, let me allow you to get up to date.
Today, in my view, is an historic day for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, as we emerge further from the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we continue our diligent work to put our federation back on track to economic growth, to job creation, and higher incomes for our people. Today, of course, shows that we are applying the lessons that we have learned from the pandemic so far. We put in place even more measures to keep our people safe and secure from future threats and a wide range of hazards. We now live in a multiple hazard environment. And given this backdrop, I am delighted to participate in the historic handing over of this field hospital, an important first in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, equally delighted that another hospital will soon be commissioned on the sister island of Nevis.
Very important. And the U.S. Ambassador Taylor, in fact, made comments, some very complimentary comments as well.
I am pleased to announce the donation of 2 40-bed field hospitals, 3 passenger vehicles, and IT equipment from the United States of America to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The field hospitals are a cornerstone of our commitment to the health of our neighbors in this hemisphere. Our donation of this critically needed medical infrastructure will increase the ability of St. Kitts and Nevis to address the ongoing global pandemic and meet future challenges, including natural disasters. In addition to the hospitals, the United States Southern...
Yes, and St. Kitts and Nevis was commended, I should say, for the model approach.
I certainly congratulate you on the high vaccine rate in St. Kitts and Nevis. If we each do our part, we can end the pandemic together. We've done it before with polio and measles, and we'll do it again. We know that the medical beds these 2 field hospitals provide will help you continue your model management of COVID-19. They will support you to deploy first responders and medical personnel quickly to where they are needed. And the United States will continue to stand with you to ensure our shared health and our prosperity.
And good news, a friend in the U.S., a friend indeed, a friend in need is a friend indeed. But that's good news. And as well tonight, I want to touch briefly, discuss briefly the topic of climate change, sea level rise, and water. And because the effects of climate change directly and or indirectly impact upon a range of human rights issues. Small island states like St. Kitts and Nevis are among those where the effects of climate change on human rights are quite pronounced. And we can examine it. Sea level rise has meant quite a lot for us in St. Kitts, believe it or not. For example, look at the negative impact it has had in respect of the erosion of our coastline at New Guinea, right there at Irish Town Bay Road, at Fort Lands. We can think of the Old Road Bay, another good example. As when it appeared as though that stretch of road across Old Road Bay was sinking, in fact, the sea level was rising. The cost to build resilience in that area was $35 million. And thanks to our friends in Taiwan who grant-funded the cost. Our water system became more exposed to contamination. And that was the finding of a UNEP-funded study of the Bastille Valley project, which I was honored to manage between 2007 and 2008. An excerpt from the report entitled Bastille Valley Water Resource Management Plan reads, and I quote, "Global warming is projected to increase the rate of sea level rise. The projected rates of rise range from a few millimeters to 1 meter over the next 100 years. It continues, the report says, recent measurements of glacial recession in Greenland and the Antarctic have convinced some researchers that sea level rise may exceed 5 meters. 5 meters, almost 16 feet. And this glacial collapse can be sudden in geologic terms, and some have projected that rise in as little as 20 years. As the report warned the government of the day back in 2008 that, and I quote, this amount of sea level rise will inundate the existing freshwater aquifer within the wellfield area with salt water, forcing the abandonment of the wellfield to upland elevations in the upper part of the Bastille Valley watershed. An expensive option would be to convert the wellfield to a supply source for a desalination plant. And it is well known, or a well-known fact, that the wellfield was operating at capacity to meet the existing demands, and this was resulting in the long-term mining of the groundwater from the Bastille Valley aquifer within the area of the existing wellfield. And the mining of the groundwater started to cause intrusion of saline waters into the aquifer from 3 different directions. And it's salt water, saline waters, intruding, getting into the aquifer in 3 different areas. Now, the reality for Central Pacific states like Kiribati, for example, and the fear is that sea level rise will result in the loss of land and crops and others, including this nation, with their people facing a future of possible statelessness. Sea level rise would swamp that coastal state. Now, ironically, the 19th plenary session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, was convened today. And its main business was the election of the Human Rights Council. And the Human Rights Council, briefly, is an intergovernmental body within the United Nations system responsible for strengthening the promotion and protection of human rights around the globe and for addressing situations of human rights violations and to make recommendations on them. Now, the Council is made up of 47 nation member states, which are elected by the UN General Assembly. And the United Nations Human Rights Committee is a body of 18 experts from the 5 regional groups established by the Human Rights Treaty. The groups are Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, Eastern European group. There's GULAC, which is the Latin America and Caribbean, and then we find the members of other states, of other states, including the United States of America. Now, member states are chosen in secret ballot, and the election is a non-contest with 18 candidate countries that stand for contest some 18 seats. Now, the impact of climate change, I submit, is a moral issue. Above all, it has been opined before that it remains the biggest moral challenge facing humankind. And for low-lying countries and coastal states like ours, climate change is about our survival into the future. Climate change affects many human rights, undercutting the rights to health, to food, to water, and for some small island nations, it may affect the right to self-determination. And Deputy High Commissioner of the UN for Human Rights, Flavia Pansieri, reminded us that the brunt of these rights violations fall on those who have least contributed to the problem. It falls on the poorest people, the poorest countries, on their children and our children, on populations of small islands and low-lying coastal lands. In fact, in a nutshell, we can conclude that most of the climate change impacts come down to water. And when people talk about climate change affecting agricultural output, sea level rise, and extreme weather, essentially, they are talking about a water story. And what is the real story about water in St. Kitts and Nevis? And I'm St. Kitts, folks, because I don't know too much about the systems in Nevis. Forgive me for that. But under international human rights laws, water is protected as a human right. In 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the 1966 International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, and the 1966 International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, water is not explicitly mentioned as a human right. It was, however, implied, though, through other human rights, such as the right to life, the right to an adequate standard of living, and the right to health. In 2002, however, the United Nations officially adopted water as a human right. The General Comment 15 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights states the following, and I quote, "The human right to water entitles everyone to sufficient, safe, acceptable, physically accessible, and affordable water for personal and domestic uses." This means that by 2012, May, the 160 countries who have endorsed the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights must ensure fair and equal access to safe drinking water. St. Kitts and Nevis is one of those countries that has ratified the covenant. So when I listen to the former Deputy Prime Minister for 18 years in this country, and a former ambassador and permanent representative of St. Kitts and Nevis to the United Nations make a comment like this, I was saddened. I really was saddened. And I thought for a moment I should leave it alone. But no, I can't. Because people would have heard this comment and people would have believed it. This nonsense comment.
We should pay more attention to water conservation, water storage in our homes.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that, because since, you know, during when we had the sugar industry, a lot of the water sources were maintained by the sugar industry folks. And
okay, I seem to have lost that. Let me get it for you. I'll get that
those sources
for you.
Going into
straight up family sooner
neglect,
rather
and I
than later.
want to sound
but when I heard that
we
comment,
need to pay
I really had to
water supply,
address it.
How make sure that we preserve
here's what
them,
I'm going to
maintain them,
address it right now.
It's going to be critical for the future.
Should pay more attention to water conservation, water storage in our homes.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that, because since, you know, during when we had the sugar industry, a lot of the water sources were maintained by the sugar industry folks. And since that, we have had a sort of those sources going into basically abandonment or really neglect. And I want to sound the warning that we need to pay close attention to our water supply and how to make sure that we
since you know during
because it is going to be critical for the future.
I'm not, what I'm hearing is sad. Because even if the former Deputy Prime Minister and former Ambassador is not familiar with the covenant I just made mention of, why does he continue to desecrate the memory and great works done in the water sector by some illustrious sons of the soil when he spouts nonsensical statements like this one? And he did before, and I corrected him, but he has come back with the same nonsense about the SSMC maintaining the water supply. And it's now been abandoned by the government, and it's warning the government. Now, truth be told, I found myself most times at variance with the views of Dr. Martin. But tonight, I can say I agree with him in this instance and his proposition about conservation and storage of this resource. But if Sam does not know about water in St. Kitts, he must read and or ask questions. Men like Stanley Theodore Sebastian, the brother of Sir Cuthbert, the son of Christabel Richardson and James Sebastian. There are many of us who went to Mrs. Richardson's Sunday school on George Street. That was the mother of Stanley Sebastian. He grew up in Newtown with his mother. In 1956, way back in 1956, Stanley Sebastian was called upon and he took up the post of water engineer as nobody else could be found to fill the vacancy. 1956. His crowning achievement was the laying of the water main line leading from the Wingfield River source to Bastille. And at that time, this allowed 1 million gallons of water per day to reach to Bastille, effectively eliminating water shortages except in serious conditions, serious drought conditions, I must say. And sad to say, we are still having that issue of water shortage which has not been addressed. What about men like Holborn Francis, who acted after the death of Sebastian? We can think of 4 men like Dudley Somerset and Lettsome Dublin. How could we forget about St. Kitts born Dr. Joseph Christmas, whose 1973 thesis entitled Hydrogeology of an Unconfined Coastal Aquifer System, Bastille Valley, St. Kitts, which has guided the protection of the Bastille wellfield. Christmas headed the water department from 1972 to 1977, and he was lauded as the architect of modern water supply in St. Kitts and Nevis. How could we forget Arthur Rollins? Arthur Rollins served in that department for 33 years. He was responsible for the well drilling program all around the island. Then he handed over, upon his retirement, to Cromwell Williams, who served that department for 12 years, from 2001 to 2013. Then St. Paul and Mr. Paris acted between 2015 and 2021. We know that Cromwell Williams is now back with the water department, and that's where his heart is, in water. So what can we do to help the situation in St. Kitts and Nevis? We can do things to stop the climate from changing, can we? No. Perhaps we can help by using less energy and water. Turn off the lights and televisions when you leave your room. Turn off the water when brushing your teeth. All these are conservation methods. You also can help by planting trees. But climate change is already affecting water access for people around the world, causing more severe droughts and floods. Increasing global temperatures are one of the main contributors of this problem. Now, my Straight Dog family, events like droughts, heavy rains, unseasonable rains, hailstorms, floods, etc. are on the rise due to climate change and have adversely impacted many economies. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, demands for water are steadily rising, and one has to look, and the government has been looking at this over the years.
From the government standpoint, the government will always see it as its responsibility to ensure that we endeavor to meet the demand for water, potable water, for purposes mainly inside of the home. We have been trying our best to keep up with the demand. I think that unfortunately, when we look at the situation locally in St. Kitts, we are not in the position that we would like to be in terms of the amount of water that we have, the supply versus the demand.
And we have to address this situation. The country needs a development strategy utilizing seawater to be formulated quickly. Our country is endowed with vast seawater resources surrounding the entire country, right around the land. We're in the middle of the ocean. Solar and wind energy is available in abundance in St. Kitts and Nevis, along with geothermal, and must be earmarked as alternative sources of fuel, especially considering the increase in the world prices. The financing of setting up purification of reverse osmosis plants or desalination plants in St. Kitts and Nevis may be shared by the central government and private operators. The PP approach, public-private partnership approach, these are the things we must consider. But as temperature rises, people and animals need more water to maintain their health and thrive. Many important economic activities, like raising livestock and growing food crops, also require water. The amount of water available for these activities will be reduced as the earth warms and if competition for water increases. That's just a word of advice to those in authority and charged with the sustainable economic development of St. Kitts and Nevis. It's 8:41 and I'm going to lines, or rather before I go to the lines, some breaking news I've just come across the wire from the SKNST Newsline, and it reads, last Sunday morning, police responded to a report that a lunatic was on the loose in downtown Bastille. On approaching Keon and Church Streets, Commissioner of Police Adams and a small brigade from the SSU observed an individual dressed in a t-shirt and a short pant with a cap covering his head and seemingly attempting to break and enter the cable building which also houses the panic factory. On confronting the individual shouted to the police, loud at the top of his voice, and the individual said this to the police.
They say now I'm crazy. I'm so happy to be crazy. I'm losing it.
The individual again shouted to the police one more time.
They say no, I'm crazy. I'm so happy to be crazy. I'm losing it.
While investigating further, this individual said this to the police.
And I feel good to see the amount of you calling my phone and asking me for crazy. The answer is yes. But I'm crazy, but I'm in charge of the crazy house.
That's what the individual said to the police. Straight Talk is closely following this breaking news and will keep listeners updated. That's my story, and I'm not going to change it. I'll open the lines, my Straight Talk family, at 17 minutes before 9 o'clock. I must remind you, though, that when I do so, I anticipate you would respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. And let us, in the process of saying and doing those things, we try to build better friendships, as I said. And in the process of saying and now doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. The numbers are again 465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. At 16 before 9, I go to the lines and say, caller, you're live.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, my sister.
Yes, how are you?
I am peaceful, cuz. I haven't heard you in a long time.
I'm here. I am just here. I don't call in because some of the time I just can't get in. But I get in tonight and I am happy. I am glad. I can tell you, please don't study that person. I was mad when you, before, and you take him on your program. You went on his program to talk with him. But just keep the faith. Keep the faith. They want to put a new committee. I mean, some other people. But he want to put back somebody, what he said wasn't good for the country. How could he do such a thing? How can he do such a thing? I tell you, he said he loved young people. Why he don't gather up some young people then and help them out with the money what he has? Trying around. Anyway, Patches, have a good night and just keep the faith and don't take heat on. You hear? Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, have a nice night from South Carolina. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Dr. Ian Patches Liburd. How are you, the great man?
I am peaceful. I'm peaceful, my brother, the greater.
All right. Well, I'm holding on your shot. So I'm peaceful too. I like the soundbite you just played here. You see, I have horizon vision, I look over the horizon and I see this coming. I see Gunal Tiger Flower coming. According to what come out of Gunal Tiger Flower mouth, I see that the genes in Tiger Flower is getting active. I'm sorry that they never build back the crazy old down the infirmary that I tell them to build long time. Build it back. At least we got one crazy gun all out upon the street. But I won't come back to here. Let me start with the former deputy prime minister. Dr. Douglas know what he was saying when he referred to the former deputy prime minister as Kunumuno. Because Dr. Douglas went to Dubai and he did not inform him he going to Dubai. And Dr. Douglas carried his permanent secretary and he tell him that he going with his permanent secretary to Dubai, all because Dr. Douglas categorized him as a kunumuno. Dr. Douglas went away and he decided, well, he could run the country on the BlackBerry because his deputy is not qualified to carry on the country because he's a kunumuno. When Dr. Douglas says something about people who write up under him, listen him carefully because he know what he see in that individual where he give them the name. You see the amount of nonsense he come up on the radio, come talk about the water thing hasn't been maintained and it been ignored and all of that. It been maintained by SSMC. Farthest from the truth, but I'm glad you play and you tell the whole world the amount of water engineers we had around here who had great concern for the conservation of water. And they did what they had to do. So he just shot in what you call bull dropping behind the tail. Now let me go here now. Patches, he got what you call Jerry, Mr. Jerry, the rat farmer. You know what he does? He's suffering from the long peer headache that you build. The long peer headache. And I don't know what pharmaceutical thing they have in the drugstore that he can use to get rid of the headache. Because the headache, they're going to go and take him away. And that thing out there going to stay, the long thing, what cut thing and said, the human acting, what that in the sea. What he doing, he going around and looking to see who are weak, supporting team unity. And once he see a weak spot, he know what question to ask them. And according to what comes out of the mouth, he go to crazy Tiger Flower and give Tiger Flower because you know Tiger Flower is an idiot. He do not know what to say on the radio. Tiger Flower must remember the same Bible where he does read. The Bible said, do not let you left and know your right and know. But Tiger Flower don't read that. He get on the Bible and he read what he want to read and believe it, then he read in the Bible and he could that could hurt the people that he want to bring down. And it's only one person Tiger Flower is aiming at to bring down, and I don't know what that individual doing. And that is the Honorable Decent Prime Minister Dr. Harris. But the Bible also say, ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. When Tiger Flower was up in England with his wife, he wanted to come out of England and go to Dubai. He couldn't go because his wife never had the proper traveling document. And he said on the radio that he called the Prime Minister who was in England, Dr. Harris. And Dr. Harris tell him, okay, I'll get to you later, you hold on. And Dr. Harris made the contact and did what he had to do. And everything was clear, and Dr. Harris called him back and tell him, everything is okay, she can travel now. But he don't talk about that. That is ungratefulness, partner. Ungrateful. Patches, I'll give somebody else a turn, I'll come back. Good night, Rock, and good night, Boris.
Thank you very much. We go straight back to the lines. Call your line.
Yes, sir. In concerning with the water situation, why can't the government make it mandatory for everyone to build a system? And when it rains, all the water goes in off of the roof into the street, into the guts. Then you can build a system and save the water. That's costly to the government. And this whole plan then costs a lot of money. So make it mandatory for everyone to have a system under their house like the people Nevis and Angola does. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Really short to the point, but yes, that's one way of helping to conserve your own water. Let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening, my brother.
Hope all is well with you, and I want to congratulate you for your speech at the United Nations in the part of the Caribbean countries.
Thank you.
Good. I was standing by the bus stop terminal there, the West, that beautiful terminal you built, and this older man, he walked over to me, older gentleman, and he was lamenting that what happened to Sinkis, how Sinkis went down so quickly, gone so bad, you know, and you could see the sadness in his face, and it's sad. It's really sad. What happened to Sinkis? Sinkis has become almost like one big whorehouse, like St. Martin. St. Martin and St. Martin, St. Martin. Thinking that, I mean, we have a lot of things to straighten up. And you know that you have a lot to do with the Mafia Labour Party, you know. But that radio station, Freedom FM, is one of the biggest culprits. I mean, it has destroyed our people's mind. Make them come in victimhood, you know, all victimhood. The white man does this, the white man does that, and a lot of other crazy stuff. But so this is what it is. Our country think it needs cleaning up, and you guys still have a lot of cleaning up to do. Unity have a lot of cleaning up to do. Okay? But let me tell you, it's so much, Patrick, is so much mental sickness you see on the street. You go to 4th Street from any time after 8, you have crazy people, and you could see the homeless and dirty. There's another guy talking. He walked from the Chinese supermarket there by full speed back up to the by Keon Street, Keon and 4th Street, back down again. And when you all had the tourists were coming in, this guy was in the tourist face, but they didn't panic. None of them won, screaming in the face. And it's crazy. There's a lot of things to be done in Sinkers. If Bratcher was alive today, let me tell you, the first person you got sent to the wall would have been Denzel, followed by Sam Conda and Dwyer too. Bratcher would have sent these guys straight to the wall. And that boy from the from Freedom FM, that boy June, he would have sent them all to the wall. I mean, Sinkers is a mess. The people create a lot of problems. You know, I mean, it is sick. But you have to clean up all these crazy people on the street. Now, have a lot of them in government positions too. Not you guys, but a lot of other people. They're still being in the part of the permanent government. They're still in there making trouble. So he sees a discord. But Patrick, you're doing right by saying you don't have to worry. We need no straight shooters like you, and think it will then be a better place. But Unity have a lot of work to do still. But let me tell you, these people is throughout our country. Douglas is oligarchs. He's grammar school elitists. Not you, not Dr. Lawyers, people like you are top of the line. But most of the others said they're dirty low-life, dirty dog, rapists, thieves, and murderers. Anyhow, Patrick, you keep on doing a good work, and you keep fighting for Sinkers. Have a good evening, sir.
Have a good evening, my brother. Always talking straight. Let's go back to the lines. Call your
Good evening, Uncle Patrick. Now, first I want to wish Lady West from Newtown, your famous constituency where you were born and raised. Happy birthday. And I wish you to see many, many more birthdays. Now, Patrick, I'll tell you something. If you watch something what Sam said, when he said the sugar factory used to maintain the water. Do you remember when you was a small boy growing up? What the sugar factory used to do up there, the TDC is up there, is dump ashes, mud grass, and all of that on top there. So me know what he talk about maintain. You understand me? We used to go up there, go catch like pan board. A lot of seawater used to come up on top of there, you know. But maybe he forget, eh? But Dr. Martin should remember that. Okay. Now, let me go now to this man who trying his very best. The millionaire man who got so much money and more $10,000 in house, $1 million house, and all kind of things. He come about now. He begging people to bring $5 to support his nasty habit on the radio station. And he is a multi-millionaire. And these poor people, the light getting cut off, the water bill getting cut off, but he telling them to bring $5 to pay his bill at the radio station. This man ain't gonna shame at all. Now, Patrick, he went and he took up an offer what not belongs to him. but getting money for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He pick up, I think, for $27,000. Get in contact with a gentleman and buy some water. He buy a half tin of water, the man pull up the other half. He take the money what he pick up to send to St. Vincent and pay for the water. And he ain't put none out of his pocket. That think people stupid. He ain't put none out of his pocket, you know. And what money left back? He's still holding on the people money. Holding on the people money. I'm going to come on the radio this morning and talking about the Prime Minister and the government should give him $100,000 that he teach people how to fix watch and clock and diamond and all kind of thing to support his business. Eh? You see what money he love? Let the money. What left back? Why he don't send it to the people at St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
The king.
Yeah.
Bear with me a minute, right? You recognize that what you're saying at this program can verify it?
I can't verify what?
No, this program,
verify anything I say. Anything I say.
Please. This straight talk cannot verify what you are saying.
Straight talk can't think it.
Yeah, but please, I want you to be cautious, right? Straight Talk is hosted by Radio ZIZ, right?
So it's only them alone got the right to talk.
ZIZ, you don't want to expose Straight Talk and the host of Straight Talk. So I wanted to be ultra cautious when you're making those sort of accusations. Can you agree with that, please?
I know you ain't good anyway. Or you must spend for 40-something years. But now we're attacking you. So I know you feel sorry for him and so on. But you don't feel sorry for him. The same government he's trying to bring down, you're the part of that government. And anybody who in the Unity Party supporting the ignorance, they're just a mother disgrace, man. Okay? So, me and I'm thinking, anything I tell you, Patrick, I can confirm it. Okay? So, I'm not going to put you in trouble. I'm not going to put ZIZ in trouble. Our favorite station. Remember this morning around 5:30, Lord, I got an emergency call to the country. When I reach, I make my girlfriend worried and crying because she can't come to the show tonight to hear me sing. I say, well, honey, I will give you a guarantee that you will hear me and hear me perfectly. So I dial 570 on the radio and I turn off to tongue and leave and go. I tell you, ZIZ, oh, honey, don't move that dial at all. ZIZ, he obligated to serve us all. ZIZ is our local radio station with all kind of communication. And if you listen, you're going to hear Patches and me. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I take this other call there at you, just give me 1 minute, please. Ask them to hold for 1 second, right? I have to be cautious. I'm not doubting you for one moment. For example, you talk about begging money, and I can verify that. Now hear this.
Can I say something to you folks who listen in this broadcast? If you could afford it, send in some money to me to pay Junior Liburd every month on the 2nd for this program. I'll not let you down. I'm going to take on the government myself for you all. We need to bring the government down. I don't want Dr. Harris to lead this country. Let me ask you something. You all...
So yes, so he's begging money. We can verify that. But the one you talk about St. Vincent, I cannot. I really, you may have that information, but I don't have it. And I want you to understand that. And you'll understand why. Right? So why we cannot associate ourselves with that. Right? So please, Rockefeller, it has nothing to do with anything about friendship. There's a former Minister of Tourism reads this email and national security who wants to destroy you and the Prime Minister because his client did not get the peer contract. He comes on as though he is so sacred and holy. I want you to do me a favor, Patches. Ask that same man to pass on the letter that Dougie wrote to Ozzy dated the 20th of November 1994 to his bidder, Liburd. Ask Licky to read for the whole world to hear paragraph 6, and then let Licky ask the former minister, based on what is written in that paragraph, to explain to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis what role he played or promised to play to blow up one of the PAM government minister's car. Ask the hypocrite to answer that question. He now trying to use Liburd to bring a wedge between the PM and PLP, but he could never have any love for PAM. By the way, this letter will soon be sent to the Scotland Yard to reopen certain investigations. Jeffrey Hanley, boy, you do not know the criminals you are associated with. Reads that email. Let's go back to the lines. I want to thank that caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and Queen Enzing. A blessed evening, my beloved African brother. How are you, all the family?
Peaceful, my brother, peaceful. And you and yours?
Good, man. The clan is good, but I know this is serious times, my brother. The amount of crap that is going on in St. Kitts Nevis, brother. You know? But I don't know why, and then not me. Why you all waste times and entities like that crazy guy and that Syrian dog and the guy from St. Paul and the whole cabal that we had from 1995 to 2015. Brothers, the time gone. They're gone, never to return, beloved. Let's not waste no time whatsoever on these non-entities. And even, right, which I don't know because this sounds like some propaganda to me. Let's say for argument's sake, like we say in the Rastafari community, reason's sake, beloved, that team unity mashup, right? But ain't no way that boy from St. Paul and his cabal could take reigns political office again in St. Kitts Nevis. Never again. And this brother Nabu said that because I will do anything that is legal, beloved, who make sure that ain't happen. I have problems with all the political parties that in St. Kitts Nevis, but this administration, brother, to be truthful, they have done some great things, some good things. Beloved, even though I have some problem with them, brother Patches, and you know, this is the first time you hear me talk about this, but brother I personally will prefer to see St. Kitts Nevis just vanish before the boy from St. Paul's and his cabal and the misguided thing up in Nevis, the NRP, beloved, take reins of St. Kitts Nevis again. Like I say, never again would St. Kitts and Nevis come under the mismanagement, beloved brother. Treat our people like dogs, second-class citizens, waste our money, bring a bankruptcy, $3-point-something billion or $1.5 billion in sales of passport. Everybody in the mean support that, but this is what it is. Give away our money to Christopher Farber, got our children them sick. Bastille High School, all kind of things, building dilapidated. Come on, anybody in their right mind and who love their people and their country will never, ever vote St. Paul's party, and none of him masqueraders them so-called candidates, beloved brother. So I don't fear anything, beloved. And if I, brother Nabu, got to run as an independent in number 6, the little pennies them that I have, even if I got to spend all of that I have, brother, because I'm not going to nothing for lose, beloved brother. I will enter into the political arena and contest elected office, and I know I'm going to do my utmost best, beloved. If I enjoy up the first time, which I ain't got that in my mind, because I am going into nothing for lose. And I know you got good-minded people, even though they're not Pan-Africanists, who love St. Nevis, beloved, will stand up for their people and stand up against wickedness and that evil empire, so they never see inside the parliament, that they call the National Assembly, right, to form no administration again. Let me tell them that will never, never, ever happen, beloved. So, brothers, let's just stop talk about these clowns, man. These traitors of African people, these haters of African people, all they care about is just money, money, money. Nothing wrong in money, but you don't take money. These kleptomaniacs, beloved. Kleptomaniacs they are. I ain't call nobody name. Kleptomaniacs. They can't run things in the St. Kitts and Nevis. Never again. Brother, let's say the mouthful. Okay. Thanks again for hearing me. Pan-Africanism our purse. One love, my beloved brother.
One love, my brother. Always straight into the point. Let's go back to the lines. Call you line.
Good night, Patches. Good night.
Good night, my brother. Politics.
Yeah, Patches, yeah. Talking about the water. I born in the 60s. And when I born, I come meet house and nag. And I come meet us going over borehole. And Patches, in this, coming up to the 70s and the 80s, people start to improve, getting flush toilet. And this water, people start to use more water now and before. Because a gentleman called in, said that he there for 50-something years. And when he was in St. Kitts, we had plenty plenty water. But what happened, Patches? You see all these huge buildings, hotel building, restaurant building, and all kind of thing building. So you expect that we must use up plenty water. And I believe that water improve a lot in the Federation. St. Kitts Nevis, the water improve a lot. Because you know that you had a clip there where a farmer minister say Nevis, a senator, say that in the 80s when Tom get in, how the water improve in Nevis and Lloyds. And you know, Patches, water right now, I believe that government should do more to really do more water catches and all kind of thing, because more buildings are going up, more huge buildings going up, hotel coming in and stream, and all kind of business place opening. Patches, you could say everybody is thinking that right now is using flush toilet. You understand? The 90% of the people in the Federation, in the St. Kitts, are using flush toilet. They have a flush toilet. They're going to a water hole, no more borehole. And I believe that that is a good step to each government make to improve our water system when they get in. I am not say one government do it. Each government to get in, they improve the water system all the time. And I will let this unity government to do more, because more huge buildings are going up and everything. And Patches, let me tell you something. Sometimes we got to divert these people who sick. I believe these people staying some of them stain. They cannot be no better than how they be. Because they're so corrupt. You understand? They're so corrupt with all kind of nonsense they don't do. So they cannot be no better than how they be. So we as people of the country and we love our country, we got to say good about our country and listen to the people who concern about the country and divert the nonsense, especially coming on from the panic factory. Because as far as they're concerned, some of them who panic factory, they're just a waste of time. Waste of time, I tell you. Participate back, I got something else to say.
Thank you very much. Yes, and you went back those days. But the fact is, really, the climate change has reduced our rainfall. And that's one of the main sources of water. But let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
Mr. Patches, I think what happened to the building board, when these houses all up here where living started to build, I think they should require bill assistance, because as the more building goes down, you're going to need more water. And that's what happened to the country right now. I heard somebody saying yesterday that KR no got water problem. No, KR got water problem. I don't know why. But water is not efficient like before. And they say we mustn't go build nothing over there in the school and the aquifer, because it's not right. It's a waterbed for us. I don't know. So we must be warned by that. Don't do it until we're sorry when we finish. They say it's a good spot for water, and he help him the whole of the town, and we need to take warning from that. And the next thing I want to say, in the near future, Mr. Patches, I want when people coming on the radio and you talk show, because it's not a toy. And talking about people, you must cut them off. Like how you did it Monday night, because the gentleman last week just speak there. I told him already, time and repeated time, do not call my name on the ear. And it seemed like you want me, so said I said, and I really don't want to sue my radio station, because that is the first radio station I will put down here, and it's my country. Everybody love the country just like how he love his country. Very provoking, and today I mind to tell me knock him out, and I just don't study him. I don't like certain things he does say, and I told him to leave my name. The other day I tell him something, he bring out about sympathy with, I don't know. I told him not to say it, and he still say it. I was very annoyed yesterday, come to something, you know. Right? So Frank and Candy went down ringing up my name. And here in a solicitation, if me wants to hear, you know, tell him in the near future when he come to speak, just don't mention me. I don't have nothing to do with him. I had him for a good friend of time, but I find he's very crooked. And I can't deal with crooked people. 1 minute he grinning with you, next minute he ready to put you under the earth. So in the near future, I appreciate what you did Monday night. And told him, do not play with me. I'm very serious about him. I'm going to hear, I'm going to go and listen. The rest of the church enjoy it. Everybody's so good.
Thank you very much. Before I take the call, just for a minute, a couple of seconds, if that call could hold for a couple of seconds, because that lady made a comment just now about the water, they call the water table. It was really the Bastille Valley well field, aquifer well field. And the current manager who worked, in fact, he's a hydrogeologist by training. He worked in the department for 12 years, the manager before. And he said this about the construction of the Bastille High School.
Our advice to the cabinet was that, given that the Ponds Estate site is at least 1,000 feet downstream of the closest well, which is designated well 148, and furthermore is in an area of the Bastille Valley which was never used for potable water extraction and is very unlikely to be used for potable water extraction, coupled with the use of modern wastewater technology, this site does not present a danger to the potable water supply.
Who else can tell us anything? No danger to the potable water. It's downstream. It's brackish water inside it, never used. So stop peddling the nonsense. I mean, hear those people saying things like that. Point them to the science and the facts. Caller, thank you for holding your life. Yes. Okay. Seem to have lost that caller. Let's see. Let's take this other caller. Caller, your life. Yes, caller. Are you there, caller? Yes, caller, you're live. Caller, you're live.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Prates. Good evening once more.
How are you?
I'm good enough. But what I want to know, right, when you are giving first owner some kind of preference like tax off, where really people who got government house paying 30 years, well, we don't get nothing off, you know, but other people could get things off, the big man them. Cause we are the small people, so we got to squeeze up with that. But it is wrong, because when they're building these big buildings, they want percentage off. And plus looking at our poor people, we gone back to the long-term days with Massa, because Massa used to do these black people them bad. So now we gone back in that year. And you all cannot help us. When the people them don't vote, they say vote where you live. But how come they can't get land and house with part they live? They come with part I live in boys that they could get land and they could get house. It's not fair, because you all said that if we vote anywhere else where we live, you are gonna knock us up. But how come now you are giving them land in boys and West Farm, and boys people and West Farm people can't get land there, and we vote where we live? You see, God is good to know, and God see all the wrong things that you are not saying in politics and even in religion. And we are the black people and the stupid people that we understand in you all, but you all are not fool. But we had an toy, and we could make we mouth. But looking at some of us, politics is we, but God is not we. So what we supposed to do? Looking at our black people, we all have struggled from a long time. And looking at the water service, I remember Stanley Sebastian as we read at school about him with the water service. And Sugar Factory used to fix the water pipe them in West Farm and Boys when I was small. So you have a good night, and you all politicians, stop tell us lie. And ministers in church, stop tell us lie. Have a good night. See you.
Have a good night, my neighbor Fred. Let's go back to the lines. Call your line. Yes, caller.
Hello?
Caller, speak to the phone. You're
yes,
live.
Mr. Liburd? Can I hear you, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, you're live, sir.
Mr. Liburd, be straight talk. Stop skipping and dancing. You must represent yourself. You teach that man to read and write, and you let him come and scandalizing your name and all kinds of things. What do you have to say about that, Mr. Liburd?
You just talk about straight talk. So, and why are you not talking straight? Who is that man?
Mr. Liburd, cattle skinners now turn on to beat cattle. You know who I'm talking about. You made him a referee. You got him You teach him how to read, write, and spell, and count to 21 without being naked. And that man is scandalizing in him. Every morning he calls patches, patches, patches. Represent yourself, or the nonsense he's peddling, people will believe. Mr. Liburd, good night and God bless.
God bless you, myself. God bless you as well, my dear brother. I didn't quite follow what you're talking about, but you said that man. I wonder if it's this man you're talking about.
They know I'm crazy. I'm so happy to be crazy. I'm losing it.
Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Hello. Patrick?
Yes, sir, you're live.
Okay, yes, man, good.
Yeah,
I like the caller before me, you know. That man is up to you to interpret who is that man. But I think you got the idea who is that man. Now, that man taking moodiness from Jerry, Mr. Long Peer Headache, because Mr. Long Peer Headache know that man is so crazy, what I'm saying, crazy, that things what's supposed to be in his house, he bringing it out in the public. So what could anybody expect but craziness out there, that idiot? And Mr. Jerry Long Peer Headache man, he had to be ashamed of himself to call himself long sleeve, button up lawyer. That he break the law, he disrespect the decision of the judge in the courthouse. When the judge sentence anybody to prison and you go on in there, it's only if the person appeal, then go to the court and then you take out the person. But that man, Mr. Jerry Long Peer Headache, went in the prison, take out 2 criminals, carry them over the hotel between decent people who are law-abiding citizens when go enjoy themselves at the Prime Minister's dinner, and carry them in there, go sit down and telling them about if they behave themselves, they could be like this. That is not the way to train people to behave yourself. Don't take them out to India and put them out there. And we know how these are what you call gunman, criminal. They don't have no regard to other people's life. As long as Bonansi, she brought Tokomo in a crowd, and Bonansi want to kill Tokomo, he don't care who he be. He can take a gun and shoot at Tokomo, and who get it. Saying that to say this now, anybody in the hotel there could have get shot down if they the only know that them 2 criminals went over there. Because once they don't hit the target, they don't care what happened behind there. So when Mr. Long Peer Headache, long sleeve short lawyer, coming talking about you and the Prime Minister, along with the crazy man, brother, I'm going to tell you something, brother. That crazy man, why don't he come out and tell everybody how he treat the workers them who work with that crazy man? He only coming out saying one thing, but I could tell that crazy man, Ian Patches Liburd has been on radio talk show since before election 2015. And you have been paying out of your own pocket for your program. I never once heard you said, please bring some donation because the program is expensive. And you never boast and brag how much money you got. You win the lottery, but you never come out and ask nobody, poor people, to come and support your program. Because you have a conscience and you are not insane. You are sane, a well-educated, conscious, head-on person. So when they're calling up you name every morning and Ambassador Michael Powell name and the Prime Minister, brother, hey, they're going to drift away and leave you all, three of you there, doing what you all doing. You all are doing the work for the country. You all are on the radio station abusing woman and man and propagating anything. No. But I'm going to say this to you. I agree with enough lady, she don't want to put ZZ in no problem. But somebody going to deal with that panic factory. Because the crazy man, what he named the Tiger Flower, the wrong bad word going to come out of him out on the radio station, and he going to say the wrong thing about the wrong person, and that's going to be the end of it. I'm going now, but hear this. The owner for the propaganda station, he forget that the long pay headache man sued the station already for something made on that station, and they had to pay the long pay man a load of money. But once they could do anything and say anything to bring down the country and the government and the Prime Minister and you and Mr. Powell, they will take anything go. That is, thank you, brother. Have a good night. I don't read it for the night. This is second do.
Thanks a lot for your input. You go straight back to the lines. Call your line.
My good friend, my boss before, I work Casper. Patches, how are you? I'm in London,
I am peaceful. Yourself?
How are you, buddy? You know, you can't say
I am peaceful, my brother.
You can't say nothing. You can't say what you're doing, Patches. You see your boy, Sweeney, from Fort. They just want to know what you're doing. They just tell you.
I'm peaceful, man.
Nobody could stop you. Nobody at all could replace you. So just do what you're doing, buddy. Well, I should go and say, what can I say, man? I love you. Take care, my good friend.
My brother?
Yes.
I love you more, my brother. You take care.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. It's now 9:29 as we go straight back to the lines. Call it live. Hello, caller. Okay, here's what. If you just join us, we looked at the situation with our water. And I was happy that lady, my neighbor friend from Boyd's, called in and she remembered Stanley Sebastian, the first water engineer. Right? I'm at variance with you though about the sugar factory maintaining repairing lines. The sugar factory had their source, I think, is at Green Hill. Those of you who remember the sugar factory, they had that cooling pond. So they had that source which they controlled that provided water for the cooling pond in the sugar factory and for SSMC itself. Remember the SSMC staff that lived on the compound had their own electricity as well. You know, but truth be told, the Water Services Department have had over the years some very good engineers. As I said, Stanley Sebastian. I spoke to Dr. Christmas, Attil Rollins. Those are the ones who built the water department, or the water services. As a matter of fact, I believe that Attil Rollins was the man behind the well drilling in St. Kitts and Nevis. And Attil was there for about 22 and 30 years in the water service department. And I believe it was when Attil left. He left about 25 wells around the entire island. We just added about one well to that since that. They had wells in Bird Rock and Frigate Bay, wells in St. Peter's and in Connery, and Mansion, St. Paul's, Newton Ground, Sandy Point, Deep Bay, Trinity, McKinley Heights, all around the island. There's some 25 wells. The sugar factory never maintained that. We had the surface water supplies, which still basically remain the same. Wingfield and Franklands and Stonefort, added Lodge and Phillips. So there's about 1.9 million gallons per day of potable water coming from 6 surface sources in Wingfield, Cairn, Green Hill, Franklands, Phillips, Stonefort, and Lodge. And there's some 11 million gallons per day that is yielded from underground sources. And we do have in St. Kitts a highly porous soil, or high porosity, I think it's called, sandy loam soil. So what we have to do is to really capture those water, or that water that was up. But the fact is though, we have to consider the issue of climate change. And climate change has really, as it says, changed things. Climate change has really impacted upon the water supply, not only in St. Kitts, but all over the world. Climate change and sea level rise, for a matter of fact. The sea level rise has really exposed our water, our underwater, to salt intrusion. And the salt intrusion is impacting upon the water in St. Kitts even as we speak. And I suggest strongly, and I've did it before, because when people talk about climate change affecting agricultural outputs, sea level rise, and extreme weather, it's a water story. And we have to address the water story. And the only way to address the water story is to look to the sea. And I think it was President Carter who said that over 2/3 of the world's surface is covered with water, but man has been slow to recognize it and to utilize it. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Yeah, Patches.
Yes, caller.
Good night, Megan.
Yes,
Patches, I believe that COVID has done some good and COVID has done some bad. Patches, the reason for me to saying this. A taxi man meet me today. A farmer taxi driver, I must say, because he ain't on a bus now. So he need taxi I think no more because I believe the bus get taken because the pandemic and everything. Even before the pandemic, I made to understand the taxi driver always got problems with the bank and with TDC and has for them. And he met me today telling me that by unity politics, unity not do nothing. Unity not do nothing. You better labor you stay in and all kind of thing. You know what I told him and tell him? I tell him that if labor is staying in, it'll be the same problem with you. Because you all got problem. And saying this to say that, only to show that a pandemic come, and these men never had a foundation, never saving nothing. They were just living on the income when they make the money, or whatever they do with the money. But I remember when the country closed down, a lady whom we know was an entrepreneur up and down town, always selling, and got a boat. She was the first person to call here, start to call out. Oh, they locked down the country, this and that, what she gonna do, and whatever they're gonna do and whatever. And the honorable Prime Minister come to she rescue and try to assist her how we could assist her. And that lady now going all up on the panic station and trying to bring down the Prime Minister, trying to bring down the government, saying all kind of negative things about the government. Patches, COVID has taught us a lesson. I can't say anything else. Taught us a lesson. And if we, the people of this country, do not stop, look and listen, and when you work with your money, put some aside, you're going to be a great problem. Great problem. Patches, you see me? I always try to put something aside, whether I got it or not, or whether I am working or not, and I scribble out something there, I make sure I put something there. You think all the time I'd be working? I remember coming up in my younger days. Sometimes I couldn't have been work, especially in the construction field. Sometimes I work there, and sometimes I work 2-3 months me not work. But me try to do different things to make ends meet. Me try to do different things. And every time I do it, every time I make sure I work and I make some money, I make sure I put something aside. And that is a lot of us problem here. Everything government. If this government change today, some people going to still the same problem there too. Because they just can't economize. They can't economize, they can't save. You understand? And this is a lot of us problem. Everything now government. Particularly when I was coming up as a young boy, coming up with my mother and my father, we never about government. We never know about government to get this and the government to do that, get that. My mother had 14 hours. We got to struggle. I remember that I used to go to start from school when my mother not able to work. I used to be the one. So then my sister go too. Me older sister. Go walk in the mother room, go eat cane. This is the way we come up. We come up hard. And look what we now. Me ain't got to bow to the government for nothing. I'm agree that some people got it difficult, especially people with children. Because especially some of these mothers with fathers and support to support the children come forward and go work and do these things. Eh? So much skill out there to do. Other people coming in and getting our skill work. Because our young men don't want to put themselves to learn a trade and to be in business. When people talking the rubbish on the radio, going to the panic station, saying all kind of negative thing, this is the only government I ever see come and try to help people. And try to help people that you could build upon where you got and still continue to support your children them. Patches, you have a wonderful night. May God bless this federation, sing it Nevis. Judge up good night down in the big boy. Calling Archibald Nevis, good night. And all those who listen to Straight Talk, you have a wonderful night. And forget about the negative, actually negative behind our back. We are study them. All right, Patches.
Okay, my dear brother, let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
Mr. Patches, I'm back again. I tell him, do not mention nothing about me. You know, Mr. Patches, there's a bar down there closed down for 15 years. And that person is his family. And I tell him, stop around me. I don't see him young reach in front of the law. No. It doesn't matter of time. Right? Don't not say nothing about me. I'm not begging him nothing. You have one of them, he just go sit down every day, lean down on it. Shut down 18 months now and he cannot see it over, close. Mine, you know, tell him, Mr. Patches, tell him, leave me alone, you know. I'm not playing with him, you know. 15 years the bar down the close down and because the ladies, his family, he can't say that. My bar just close for we go open my bar. I'm not playing with him, you know. I do not want a friend from him. And I'm not playing with him.
Okay. That love story. Okay, we got you.
Not playing with him at all.
All right, I got you. Okay. Okay, we seem to have lost it, but that love story could be for another forum. Let's go back to the lines.
Yes.
Caller,
Good evening, Patches. Me again. I remember when I was small, right? Wrigley and Boone, them used to be the manager for the whole, I think it's a Nevis. And this man, as I said, reading the book, the Poincy used to be the first governor, the French governor. But then they used to be white people and treat black people like I do in the world. And now black people still get in the worst. And black people is educated too, you know. But some of us don't use with common sense. And looking at this, right? When this man used to down by government headquarters banging off on labor must go. You all used to laugh. But now you all get back, you all taste a bitter. I wait with the man. Let the man alone. See you.
You know, my dear friend, I love you so much. But let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
Patches.
The Major.
This is the Major.
How are you, sir?
Well, boy, I'm good. I just want to ask you if you ever heard about this question. Have you ever heard this word? A fixed relationship. You heard about that? You heard me?
No, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
A fixed relationship is that people who you rescue often stifle freedom and growth. You hear that? People who you rescue others often stifle freedom and growth. And rescuing behavior is not good for either partner. It may continue a state of dependence and brokenness. It can trap people more deeply in the role of victim, and in the long run, victims usually attack their rescuers. They end up angry with each other. You hear that? You hear that?
Yes, Major.
So
I'm listening, sir.
This fixed relationship is a terrible thing, boy. Because fixing relations, some people like to buy old cars, and when they buy the old cars, what do you think they do? An old house and repair them, and they often fall in love in order to fix people. Some people seems to be drawn to broken wisdom. That's the type of people. That is how nature operates. You hear me? God bless.
Listen, I'm listening, Major.
God bless that I was able to go abroad and learn these things, and therefore now they're coming back now. Now they're coming back like a bullet. You rescue people, and then next time people get break up with you. You're experiencing that.
I'm listening.
But answer me, no, you just listen. You had to say something. Remember, you know your tongue, man,
So you mean taught them?
Huh?
You taught them to read and write, and then they get smashed on you.
That's what I tell you. Remember, you from your tongue, Remember with Miss Liburd, Miss Liburd get them the golden apple, and when she can't give them a golden apple, what happened? The abuse all this, and she raping. You know that?
True.
Okay. So that's what I tell you. Sometimes rescue people is a terrible thing. It often stifles your freedom and you can't go because they abuse you when you can't come up, You know that? Ask my friend Monty.
You're so correct.
Ask my friend Monty the Traveler. Ask my friend Monty the Traveler. You know him?
I think I know one Monty.
Which one you know?
I don't just say one.
Okay.
The old soldier.
Okay, take it easy.
Okay. A fixed relation. Let's go back to the lines. Call you live.
Yeah, good evening, Honorable. Now what I am calling back to ask you something.
Turn off your radio.
Yeah. I'm calling you back to ask you a simple question. Now, when somebody calls in on the radio station, defaming you, Michael Powell, and calling the Prime Minister a big stone and all of that, and attacking me and all of that, how come I don't tell them nobody gonna carry them court and nobody gonna do them this or nothing? You understand me? But when somebody talk, they want to talk about the going court. They think it's an easy court work. Them lawyers what they used to got that pick up cases, they're done with. These lawyers today, you got to get money to go to them. And before you go to them, and you state your case, and you ain't got the money, don't need to go back in the man's office. People like to come on the ear and pick up everything about other people. And when they get the turn, they're balling for what reason, I don't know. The whole trouble about it, you is losing track on your soundbite and them, Because on some them soundbite, what you have, you should have heard the man say that he have about 6,000, 5,000 to 6,000 in the bank, and he don't know who to send it to in St. Vincent and the Grenadine. You understand me? So me talking the propaganda. He famous word, he got the documents and he got the proof, he got the evidence. You understand me? Well, what evidence I got is what comes from his mouth. So those are my evidence, But when he going around and attacking the Prime Minister and trying to below the Prime Minister, for what reason, I don't know, and you, and Michael Powell, for what reason, I don't know. When the time come round, he gonna bear the penalty, he gonna bear the consequence. Because there's a lot of people out there just waiting for him to continue, and they will deal with him. But he can't run for no election, because the last time he ran, he voted against himself. You understand me? He make the X the wrong place. You understand me? So when he talking that he should be in government as a minister, he want to be a minister during the finance, you know, so they could put their hand on government money, but they will not get those opportunities. So when he continue, he working. He said he spent $100,000, but he asking $100,000 now to train people to work in the business. And you, as a rich man, begging the poor man them for $5, $6 and all kind of thing to continue your radio show, to bring down the same people who work for the government and love this government, and you're telling me you should go unturned? No, not with me. You understand me? So you need to sometimes get your some boat and so on. And Patrick, I want to wish Lady Ray a happy birthday. Okay? So you know how to do it. Nobody do it better than you. Okay, good night, and God bless you. Stay safe and stay doing what you've been sent at the UN to do, your work. And it's that you is doing. So the more light the burn, the more you say your way. You understand me? And who God bless, no man cause. You see how cool the Prime Minister be? He just ain't ready yet. He ain't ready yet. He ain't a lot of little knockabout and things, but he's strong. And he have God in his corner. But when he ready, he'll tell this rather correction from them. God bless you all.
God bless you, Rockefeller. Let's go back to the lines and let me say happy birthday to Lady Ray. And Lady Ray, people normally get presents for their birthdays, but I'm going to ask you to send me the real thing for your birthday. So I'll wait and see if you do. Let's go back to the lines. Call your line. Hello, caller.
Thank you. Hello?
Yes,
hello.
Turn your equipment down. Turn your radio down. Whatever you have on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, just listen to the telephone.
Oh,
You're
okay,
live.
sorry. I didn't have any equipment on. You know something, Brother Patches? Good night.
Good night.
People are straying away from the necessary, important thing that need to be done and solving the country. We are too emotional and too personal. We need to find a solution to resolve the nation, the federation problem. This is not a show to lash each other and a lot of people who come on. I mean, freedom of speech and it's trade talk. But we need important injection into solutions to resolve the necessary problem we are facing in St. Kitts. We got to continue focus on the resolution to kick COVID. And most importantly, we got to find ASAP situation to resolve the water situation. Because you don't need no rocket scientist to say the problem that the world faces with water. And the most precious things in this world, on this earth, is water. More precious than gold, silver, diamond, you name it. Now, as I've made a comment earlier on your show about water solution, we got to start to find places to dig dams in the ground. We got to allocate part of the land wherever it is necessary to make dams, as I said, because storage is a necessity. We can't just depend on the desalination and just the wells. We got to catch the rain whenever it comes. We got to have a basin to catch the rain and store as much water, especially those that are coming from the gut, and they could be purified. Those are the necessary things we got to look at. Else one day we're going to wake up and there's no water. And what's going to happen? Let's come off of the personal and emotional things. Okay? Put yourself in court. You cannot be emotional. A lawyer cannot be emotional with a client case. They got to do what the necessary argument should be. So let's focus on that, people. Forget about what this guy say, that guy say. Don't say this about me, don't say that about me. You all duke it out when it comes personal when you see. But on the ear, let's find solution. The world is listening. I'm listening too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. And you have made a very important point. Before I take the call, I just want to react quickly in terms of the dams and so on, right? Now, there's this Paris Agreement, COP21, right? And lots of people said it came too late because the focus is for us within the world, in particular in the Eastern Caribbean. Let's speak about Eastern Caribbean where we live. It's for us to get drier and drier in the future, right? So we cannot do enough to prevent the hazardous climate change. And let me say from the records, from the NOAA, that the average rainy days that are based on a 10-year average from between 2006 and 2016, right, using the data from the NOAA, and it says by country, Anguilla, 40 rainy days, Turks and Caicos, 43 rainy days, Borneo, 51, the BVI, 68, Aruba, 69, Curacao, 89, Jamaica, 113, the Cayman, 117, Cuba, 134 rainy days, the Dominican Republic, 135, Bahamas, 146, the United States, meaning Miami, 166, St. Kitts and Nevis, 173 rainy days throughout the year, right? St. Croix at the USVI 186, and the highest was in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 204 rainy days. Or rather, to take that back, the highest is Port of Spain, Trinidad, 225 rainy days. So among countries, the average number of rainy days is 149 rainy days with a wide variance. And Anguilla, located northeast of the chain of the islands, sees the lowest number of rainy days at 40 rainy days in the entire year. So that tells you what's happening in the world as it comes to rainfall. And it's getting less and less. Just this year, we had a 50% rainfall deficit. So here's what we're talking about. And there's no end of water, adequate supply, seawater surrounds us. Let's try and desalinate it. Caller, you're live. Thank you for holding.
People in the outer world respect the country, the Prime Minister, and the Premier of Nevis, and the entire government for the good things that they are doing to the country, to promote the country. And you cannot sit back and allow anybody to tarnish the country name, the good reputation of the country, mash it up, because it's not only people in Nevis and St. Kitts hearing what they're saying, it's all over the world. So when they don't come on the radio and spread their propaganda about the country, which is not so, we have to come back and let the outer world know what that person just said is bad and it is wrong, it is not true. So it doesn't matter that we are attacking anybody. You can't let people mash up in him. Who man gonna know that he ain't interfere with no little child? And somebody gonna say, well, Daniel Ban raped the little child. And you hush? No, you can't do that. You have to protect him and your integrity and your character. Thank you, Patrice. Good night.
Thank you very much. I thought you said it was your last call. But here's what that man, they refer to him as that man. That man said this about Prime Minister Harris.
Dr. Timothy is way in front of anything to do with leadership in this country. Way in front. His style, his stature, his delivery of any matter, his calmness, his aggression when needed. All those are qualities you can't buy at Ram Supermarket. My friends, Dr. Timothy Harris is a magnificent leader. And the examples that he has shown is so good, I do not support stupidness.
And here's what he said about Ian Patches.
Patches, how you do? This is DuPont. I want to say congratulations to you for keeping your show at a very high standard. And you make me feel good is you make me call. When you say straight talk is straight talk, you got to come with facts. All I want to say to you, I got a lot of respect for you when it comes on politics, because one of the great reasons why we're still friends, you're straight when it comes to these things with politics. And you still did one of the best jobs as a government minister ever in this country. Your one term equal to 3 and 4 terms for other ministers that serve in your field.
Imagine that. But my Shedog family, my time is fast running out. I'll take about 2 more calls before I wrap. If there's a call, I'll take this penultimate call. Call out your life.
That is a pleasant good evening to you. How are you?
I am peaceful, my dear. I've heard you for a while.
Because I cannot get in. I try, and I cannot get in. I do not know how
I'm happy to tonight.
2 and 3 and 4 call, and I can't even get 1.
That is so true. I'm so sad.
Oh my God.
Nice to hear you though.
Yes. I wait here listening. Even though I ain't get in, I listening you every time you on. And sometimes I just really want to get in because I have some bullet to let go. Believe it or not.
I can see those dimples.
But when you hear them psychopath there, and thing they're talking about that, you don't have to study them now, because anybody who you see give out the business. If they got doctor, away why doctor tell them, they pant up the ear with it and what's not, you must know them as psychopath. The children and them can't get on, the family and them can't get on. Well, who else and them gonna get on? And then you got some psychopath woman. I join this psychopath man too. They're crazy like a fox. May I tell you. So you don't have to bother with them there. When the psychopath they pant up the ear, me call in and me tell psychopath that he must not do them things there. If somebody give him a paper to say anything, he must go and go rectify it before he go pant up the ear with it. And what's not. All them let me tell you psychopath. One time he cut me off and all, but me ain't care. Cause he crazy. One time he got the Bible. As soon as he done with the Bible, when you look, he gone go talk more load of stupidness about duldal and woman and all kind of things. The man sick, he crazy. He need to come up the crazy house. I don't have to study him. The man go about the business. Don't waste no shot from Power Hawk. If the radio station where he on right now, if them they never crazy too, they don't get rid of him, because he don't say a lot of things about them the same announcer they on top the radio station. Even when the DJ who just on top the so he call on me how he mouth stink and what's that, and he don't know what they go join the same stinking mouth man out there. So please to leave him alone. He's sick. He need attendance. Please, don't waste your time on top of he not ready yet. Everything he go on the radio with it. He own business and all if he go doctor. And the doctor tell him, well, you sick with this, he come on the radio with that. You could put yourself with them kind of people there. Now them you're supposed to go by yourself and nobody study them there. But you have a pleasant night. I'm glad I get to you.
Thanks. Good to hear you. Yeah, as well. Psychopaths, you call it, man. Ignore them. Let's take my final call for night. I'll take 1 more call for night before I make my run. because my time is just about done. I'll give you a few seconds. If you can't get in, then I just got to run. My Straight Dog family, and that's it. That's my final call for tonight, because I said my time is done. And remember, tonight we spoke about the issues of water, of climate change, sea level rise, and our water problems. But suffice to add, as temperature rise, people and animals need more water to maintain their health and thrive. Many important economic activities, construction, development, like producing energy at power plants, raising our livestock, and growing food crops, all require water. The amount of water available for these activities is being reduced as the earth warms. And if competition for water resources increase, now global sea level has been rising over the past century. And this emailer, I almost forgot this email. Let's capture it before I leave as well. It says, Patches, you have the answer to the water issue, that is desalination. Please educate the callers and let us all know what is in the plan to solve the water issue. There should not be a water problem when the seawater is the answer. And the high sea level or higher sea levels mean that deadly and destructive storm surges push farther inland than they once did, which also means more frequent nuisance of flooding. And the two major causes of global sea level rise are thermal expansion caused by the warming of the ocean, since water expands as it warms, and increased melting of land-based ice, such as glaciers and ice sheets. And my Straight Dog family, the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology has given us a prognosis, and it's not good. Rainfall is going to reduce and reduce as the years continue. Average rainy days have been looked at, and that too are not looking good, my Straight Dog family. But as we wind down tonight's programming, and as I said earlier, solar and wind energy is available in abundance in St. Kitts and Nevis, along with geothermal, and must be earmarked as an alternative source of fuel, considering increasing world prices. And however, the country needs a development strategy utilizing seawater, and that has to be formulated quickly. And I'll leave you tonight with the breaking news that came to my attention just as I was about to open the lines. And I'll leave you with the news because we are following the story. The breaking news that came across the wire, that last Sunday morning, police responded to a report that a lunatic was on the loose in downtown Bastille. On approaching Keon and Church Streets, Commissioner of Police Adams and a small brigade from the SSU observed an individual dressed in a t-shirt, a short pant, and a cap covering his head, seemingly attempting to break and enter the cable building, which also houses the panic factory. On confronting the individual, he shouted to the police, to the top of his voice. To the top of the voice, this individual shouted like this.
Now I'm crazy. I'm so happy to be crazy. I'm losing it.
And that's all the individual said to the police. He said this.
They say now I'm crazy. I'm so happy to be crazy. I'm losing it.
Losing it. And while investigating further, the individual shouted to the top of his voice to the police. Top of the voice saying this.
And I feel good to see the amount of you calling my phone and asking me for crazy. The answer is yes. But I'm crazy, but I'm in charge of the crazy house.
In charge of the crazy house. But my Straight Dog family, let's keep focus. Let's keep focus on the positive things. And today was an historic day in St. Kitts. No matter what they say, Team Unity not doing this and Team Unity not doing that. But kudos to Prime Minister Harris and his cabinet.
Today, in my view, is an historic day for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as we emerge further from the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we continue our diligent work to put our federation back on track to economic growth, to job creation, and higher incomes for our people. Today, of course, shows that we are applying the lessons that we have learned from the pandemic so far. We put in place even more measures to keep our people safe and secure from future threats and a wide range of hazards. We now live in a multiple hazard environment. And given this backdrop, I am delighted to participate in the historic handing over of this field hospital, an important first in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, equally delighted that another hospital will soon be commissioned on the sister island of Nevis.
Yes, in St. Kitts and Nevis, good things are happening. In spite of the fact that just today, as of yesterday, in the last 24 hours, some 14 cases are confirmed. St. Kitts to date, number of cases 2,126. In Nevis, 399. And sadly, 21 deaths. But St. Kitts and Nevis, in spite of all of that, has moved closer to the target in terms of vaccinations for the target population, I should say. As of today, dated 14th October, there are some 77.1% of the target population that has received their first dose, and 69.8% their second dose. And U.S. Ambassador Tagliatella touted that St. Kitts is model.
I certainly congratulate you on the high vaccine rate in St. Kitts and Nevis. If we each do our part, we can end the pandemic together. We've done it before with polio and measles, and we'll do it again. We know that the medical beds these two field hospitals provide will help you continue your model management of COVID-19. They will support you to deploy first responders and medical personnel quickly to where they are needed. And the United States will continue to stand with you to ensure our shared health and our prosperity.
And we will stand with our friends, the United States of America, as they help us to advance our model management of this COVID-19 pandemic. We've done it before with polio, and chickenpox, and all other diseases we've experienced. And we can do it again if we all just come together. Put the politics aside. The game is over. The game won't start right now. The game ended in 2020. You can't start this game if no umpires are around. The game is over. And this program is over. So I must thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I want to thank you, the many callers. Some of you couldn't get in. Some of you get in 2 and 3 times. I think I'm going to get to be a little more strict on those calls. Let me say 1 per caller. 1 per call to see what happens. But I don't like to restrict your call, but just try to be reasonable and understand others who want to get in. Just like that lady, our last caller. But I want to thank you nonetheless. Those of you who just listen, many of you just listen, don't call. Those who send emails, those on social media, Facebook, YouTube. Remember, YouTube, just go to Ian Patches Liburd Straight Talk, or Straight Talk with Ian Patches Liburd. Just Google that on YouTube, and you get there. Facebook, we're there on social media. But without the mayor from St. Paul's, Theo Theophilus Clark at the console, Bevan Wilkinson in the back room, and John James. And without all of you, there will be no Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Monday, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Be good to yourselves. Try to get to church. I'm going to try to get to church on Sunday. I found me another Moravian church, right, not too far from me. I'll try to get there. But you, remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you just got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank you for taking you to the night. My dear family, Lady Ray, have yourself the best of what's left of your birthday. Remember what I asked you for. You normally get presents. I'm asking you for that present, the real thing. You know what I'm talking about. But be good to all whom you meet. Be sweet. And whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But you first got to believe. When you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you to the night. My Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday.
In the morning.